Hello and welcome to OT the podcast. We're here to talk about watches, time, and how to spend it. My name is Felix Schultz, and with me is the lovely, charming, and handsome
Andy Green. Felix, how are you?
I'm pretty well. We are doing things a little bit old school today.
We are.
Could we say we do things old school? We're
we're over a year old now. Depends on what sort of metric we measure our age in dog years.
Episodes. Let's measure
cat
it in
years.
episodes.
We must be pushing the 90s.
Yeah, I was about to say, do we want to have some sort of grand party for our 100th episode?
We better plan that. That's actually a really good point.
Yeah,
we need who's an ultimate guest we can have on for our 100th episode.
Let's get The Rock on.
I keep pushing him off, but maybe that's the one we get DJ out for.
What about Tom Hanks? I mean, he's been hassling us as well.
Well, but if we get Tom Hanks on, then Jonah Hill's going to have to take a back seat.
Awkward. And what about the entire cast of the Spice Girls for their reunion podcast appearance?
We just can't get them all in the same time zone. We just, every time we try and line it up, it's, who lets us down?
Zencaster?
Victoria, every single time.
I was thinking maybe we're too stingy to pay for the pro account that lets you have 7 different people on the call.
I think we've got unlimited, mate. Guys, let us know. 100th episode, what should we do? Maybe we should do a t-shirt or something. Work it out. We've got a couple of weeks.
Let's do a watch. Let's make a watch.
If you made a watch, what would it be?
For our 100th episode?
Yeah.
100-meter water resistance, something. I would have every single episode name on the dial. I would want our faces printed on the back. I would want the strap to be some sort of suede, super fragile suede. I want it to have definitely got to have a really small quartz movement.
Yep.
A date window at 1:30.
I'd do something colourful like a pink dial.
Yeah, you would.
Something with the numerals, maybe go for maybe we wouldn't do a big brand. I think we'd have to go with an independent or something.
Like Rolex? They're independent.
No, they are. Something a bit more accessible for the people that want to kind of get in on that 100th episode watch.
Interesting. Well, watch this space. We'll make it happen. We've got a week.
Yeah, a couple of weeks.
But you know what we do have today? It's because Bex and Posh obviously pushed us off again. We've got some watch matchmaking, Andy. It's been a minute.
We have. We've got an overflowing inbox, and we're really sorry about that. But Robert has written into us. Can't remember when. Can't remember what currency. But
before that, we've also got. We should, just in case you're thinking of skipping to the end, we also have a little list coming up as well.
We do. Yes. Quarterly check-in 2021. We picked 5 of our favorite watches under $5 US, so about 7 Aussie.
7. Oh, yeah, 5 US. Okay. All right. Cool. Cool. Yep, sure. Gotcha.
So 5 under 5 USD, but for the Aussie listeners, call it 7, 8, whatever.
Robert,
yes. Back to Robert. Dear Felix and Andy, OG listener to the podcast, and I love your work. Thank you, Robert. I am in a pickle. I love watches. I love my wife, but buying heaps of watches, unfortunately, isn't something I can afford. I have my sights set on buying an Omega Blue Seamaster Professional 300 as the exit watch.
Nice.
Well, at least for a long while. I know Rolex is unrealistic at RRP, so is there anything else you guys could recommend? At some stage, once I produce miniature Roberts, I'll pass them on. Also, I work in a dental clinic, so I usually wear an Apple Watch as I like to do CrossFit and triathlons for fun. Budget is maximum $9,000, and I'm open to anything diver, chrono, etc. But it needs to be something I can wear to work, weekends, and ideally something that's a bit, a little bit dressy. Please help me, Fandy, which is Felix and Andy. Again, love your work, Robert. Let's go.
I must say 2 things, 3 things. First thing, I heartily endorse the couple named Fandy. Because, the other one is Anlix, and Fandy's better.
No, thank you.
The second one is, if you want to get in touch and send us a Watch Matchmaker, you always can do that. As you can see, we might not be 100% up to date on it, but we'll still do our best to get to it. Email us at otthepodcast@gmail.com with a brief like Robert did. That's a great idea. Thirdly, get into it, Andy.
Okay, so we're both picking 3. I'm going to start with my first pick, and we'll work through it. So my first selection for Robert is, and again, I'm going to assume he's in the United States because we're talking US dollars. Grand Seiko 4 Seasons US exclusive, the fall edition, which is the navy blue dial. The reference is Spgh H273. This bad boy comes in at $6,300 US. I think it ticks all the boxes.
Sure.
So it's sort of like an update or a redesigned version of the 2019 release, which is when I think the season came out in the US, with sort of more refined lugs, and the case is slightly different.
Yeah, it's a new sort of case and design language I think we're seeing here.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit more potentially wearable, yeah, at 40 millimeters. But the really nice navy blue dial that's got a heap of texture and sort of a heap of kind of versatility to it. Obviously, it's a Grand Seiko, so you're getting 100 meters of water resistance. The high beat 9S85 automatic movement, 55 hours of power reserve there. It is 21 mils between the lugs, which is a little bit annoying if you're looking for straps, but otherwise, I think it's a really good option. And yeah, not too chunky, sporty, still dressy. It doesn't have any sort of functional bezel to it. So it's,
Just
I
a
think
good everyday watch.
I think it's a really good everyday watch and sort of a little bit special. And I think 40 millimeters, if you have a son or a daughter or whatever, they'll be able to wear it in the future.
And it's got a blue dial like that blue SMP, which, by the
It
way, that's a
does.
great watch. I think you can't go wrong with the SMP. So, whatever Rob picks, he's onto a winner.
Rob doesn't need help, so we should just stop.
That's
Get the
great. I think,
SMP.
as you will see, Andy, I very much agree with this line of thinking.
Okay. Oh, that's good. All right. Well, my second one, Cartier.
Oh, Cardi,
Santos.
hell yeah.
Yeah, Santos de Cartier. Large model. So on the bracelet, obviously comes with the strap. It's just an icon. It's similar proportions, about 40 millimeters in diameter or width, I guess, for that case shape. Again, 100 meters water resistance, so nothing to worry about. Smart link, it's easy to change the straps from wearing it on the weekend to say you want to put that calfskin strap on it for a special occasion. It can be quite formal, and it's pretty unisex. Even the large design, like they do wear smaller than they read. They will wear, and I think that's important because Rob's, children's gender is undetermined yet, so they might not be able to pull off a big chunky sports watch.
Interesting. I think that's such a good choice and a really a classic, for a reason. The only possible hitch there, maybe Rob doesn't like square or shaped watches.
He didn't specify, but
It's
that's
it's a valid concern.
a valid concern. I think in terms of price, it's 10,700 Aussie. So look up the budget, but
Well, I mean, you might sneak that under in US.
potentially,
Also, secondary market's a thing,
yes.
and you don't believe in budgets anyway, famously.
I don't
So,
believe.
yeah.
But yeah, I think it's all in all automatic movement. Yeah, the Smart Link is definitely appealing, I think, in terms of versatility. And if you're talking about like an N watch as well, I think being able to quickly switch it out without much stress is important and going to
Yeah,
give you.
and certainly if he said where it wants it to be versatile for work and for dress, so I think that's a really good pick there. Well done.
Thank you. My last choice is definitely going to be outside the budget.
Oh, Andy, wow.
But I found a loophole. So it is the Zenith Chronomaster Sport. I've gone the white dial.
Yep, on a
Look, if you
textile
get it
strap.
on the textile strap, it's 9,500 USD. Look, if you're at this point, just get it on the bracelet, so at least you have it. This
Got
is
to
going to
blow the
give you the
budget, blow it
most.
a bit more.
Blow it a bit further, yeah. 41 millimeter diameter, 13.6 thickness. I think this is a watch that is going to age really well and going to be able to be worn for a really long time. Obviously, the movement is quite special.
Yep.
The tricolor on the subdials again is really cool. 2021 release, I believe. Yes, it was this year.
Yep. Start of the year.
Kind of not a bad package for a sort of Swiss automatic chronograph.
That's a really good call, and I hadn't thought. I tend not to think chronographs, if the brief doesn't say chronographs, because I'm just that kind of guy. But yeah, that's true, and I think it's one that is quite, thinking for the future. That will, you're right, hold up, but it's also quite a unisex model. And again, 41 millimeters is a bit big, but for a sports watch, I think that's entirely reasonable. For a woman or someone with a smaller wrist to wear that in the future. Nice. I like that. I like all your picks.
Thank you. I think this one as well, like if you're going to pass this on to your children, it's a good one to get them interested in watches. To kind of say, hey, this has got the ceramic bezel and like you can see the movement and you see the pushes.
And it's got the wacky second hand as well.
Yeah, it's got the wacky, exactly. The flyback, and it's got, and it's got so much going on that if you were sort of a kid that you kind of get quite excited. There's so many.
Yeah, you remember that.
You remember Dad's, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So those are my three.
I've picked a Grand Seiko as well. And in my characteristic way, Andy, I've picked three different watches because I don't know if you remember, but Rob said he wanted a watch for, where is it? I can wear for work, weekends, and ideally something slightly dressy. So I found him a work watch, a weekend watch, and something slightly dressy. Maybe he has to buy all three. I don't know. This is, you'll be glad to know that I went with Australian dollars for the budget, and this one is
Okay.
$9,000 exactly.
Perfect.
It is the Grand Seiko Spgh 279, which, like the one you picked, is very similar. So Grand Seiko on a steel bracelet, high beat movement, but this has a slightly different case. It's got the 44GS design language, which is those sort of broad shouldered case sides that look like really mirror polished, and I could never own because I would scratch it in 3 seconds flat. It's really interesting, I think, because the dial, it's sort of like, it looks like urushi paper a little bit. It's super matte, super rich, but also quite under the radar. And I thought that will make it for a good work watch. Like, you're wearing a nice watch, doesn't look like you're wearing a super, it's not obviously a Rolex or, something like that. It's not too blingy. Also, if you're working as a dentist, it's something you can clean or, sterilize fairly easily, or just, take off and not have to stress about. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
gross, but fair point.
It's a bit gross.
You got to think about the practicalities of the brief. And I think perfect size, 40 millimeters across by 13.3 tall.
Good choice. I think this watch has come up before in a Watch Matchmaker.
Yeah, maybe you did it once.
I think I did it for maybe Hugh back last year.
Maybe we'll have to dig out the show notes, but we do pick a lot of Grand Seiko, and there's a reason for that. It's because they're really great watches.
Yeah, solid. That's a great choice.
Well, and the other ones, weirdly enough, I think I've was psychologically compensating for your over budget by under budgeting. So I don't know why I went with that, but because he also said maximum $9,000, so I went a bit under. And also, the back of my mind, I'm thinking Omega SMP's the Grail sort of exit watch. These are ones you could maybe get in between, or you could maybe get, stretch and get two, or, you just don't have to spend the top of your budget. So the next one for me is the weekend watch. And I have gone with what I think is one of the great weekend watches of recent years, and one that's a little bit underrated these days, the Tudor Pelagos LHD.
Yes, it's very fair. It has
Yeah.
has cooled down a little bit.
Yeah, and so the Pelagos in general, I think, was like, was it the same year as the original Black Bay? Bit later, perhaps.
I think it was 2016 or 2015.
Around that time, but it's a big 42 millimeter titanium cased watch, big titanium bracelet, modern diver. I think the LHD is the best iteration of it because it's a little less in your face. It's got that sort of vintage vibe to it, and also, so it's got the crown on the left hand side. I think that makes a really big difference in the comfort of the watch. I often, really get irritated by the crown digging in, and it's quite a sort of big one on that sharp titanium case. So left hand makes a difference.
Yeah.
Plus,
versatile as well.
Yeah, plus pricing, 6,250 Australian dollars. That's like a third under budget.
Yeah, it's under, and it's a watch that your kids are going to look at and remember.
Yeah, I think it's a cool watch. And I mean, you certainly wear it, maybe not dress, but certainly do that every day, and it's absolutely fine. The in-house caliber movement's pretty great these days, and it comes with a bonus rubber strap, I believe. So there you go.
Just never take it off.
Yeah, just wear it all the time.
The roulette date wheel is cool as well.
Oh yeah, is it roulette? It's like a roulette date wheel or a red date wheel?
No, I think it's roulette.
Oh, okay.
God, It's been a while.
Yeah, I haven't thought about the Pelagos in a hot minute, but that's something that we should rectify. Last, but very much not least, I've gone for the dressy pick. Now, this is it's dressy, but it's also a little bit cash. Like, it's not a straight up dress watch, so you could wear it conveniently every day for the rest of your life and be a perfectly happy person. This is the NOMOS Metro Neomatic 39 Silver Cut. There's a lot going on there, Andy Green.
There's a bit.
So the Metro is sort of a more modern design from Nomos. It's like got quite a contemporary feeling dial layout. The lugs, sort of wire lugs, and it's got a slender crown and a really thin handset and a small second. Neomatic is why I chose this, honestly, over the The clubs that we've got at the moment, the Club Campus, Absolute Grey and
Mm.
Future Orange, the Neomatic movement, I think, is something special, and I think it pushes it over the line into that sort of rest of your life piece that, will happily go down. 39mm, great size. Again, thinking for the future, anyone could wear this and be very happy with it. And there's plenty of dial options. Like there's white, there's dark blue, there's a sort of a champagne that I'm particularly partial to. But the silver cut is it's like sort of raw metal that's been
Mm.
like you can see the cut or the polish on it. It looks quite
The
textural.
grain.
Yeah, yeah, and it just offers something a little bit different. So obviously, I think Rob can, if he goes a Neomatic Metro, he can take his pick. But I'd suggest a silver cut. Good price as well, 5950. You're getting a really modern, super thin, totally legitimately, actually in-house automatic movement from Nomos, who designed some beautiful watches.
Amazing. I do think dentists, when I look at that watch, like that sort of grained aluminium look with the red touches.
It's like a brushed, like a chair or
Yeah, like a bench,
yeah, okay,
stainless steel bench top
sure, or a chef. They'd have that sort of bench.
with the red touches. I like it.
Now, which of my three do you think you would suggest?
I don't know because I love the Pelagos for him, but I don't know that that's enough. It doesn't have the dressy requirement sorted. So I think it's the Pelagos and the NOMOS together.
Oh, classic Andy. Not the Grand Seiko for 9K, which is very, very similar to the one that you suggested for your Rob yourself.
No, because I think the Grand Seiko I picked is better, and I didn't want to. I didn't want to kind of throw two to Grand Seiko this week. So
That's really fair. Well, so for you, which of your own do you think you'd have to pick at credit card point?
maybe the Zenith. I think that's going to be the coolest one to hand down to your kids.
Yeah, that's cool. I'd go Cartier.
Yeah.
No doubt. I don't have to even think about that particularly much. I think in terms of being bit sporty, bit dressy, that feels a brief. It is a legitimate blue chip name. So
Yeah. If I was to inherit a watch and that was the watch that I inherited, I'd be pretty happy.
yeah, inheriting a Cartier is a cool thing. So I
Yeah.
think that's a great select. Well done, Rob.
Well done. Rob, let us know. Let us know
Yeah.
what you end up doing. And yeah, like Felix said, email us if you want in. This week, we are very pleased to have the wonderful NOMOS Glashütte as our sponsors. The German brand has released some colourful new campus models. Felix, what do you think of them?
You cannot go wrong with a club campus. They're an incredible way to get into Nomos, and these 4 new versions are no exception. Andy, we'll get to the dials in a minute, but first of all, let's see what makes these new club campus models special. The watches are made, as you might guess, with graduates in mind, but really any milestone from a new job to a birthday works just as well. They're powered by the manually wound manufacturer Caliber Alpha and come with a solid caseback and complimentary engraving for that special message.
Love that. Felix, what would you get engraved on yours to make it a gift that lasts a lifetime?
No doubts, I would get Andy and Felix BFF since 2014.
Love it.
Yeah, so the club campus, it also represents an entry point into Nomos. The prices on these watches start at a very fair 1,870 Australian dollars or 1,100 euro for our international friends, and that's for the 36mm model. There's a reason we always recommend these watches in our watch matchmaking. It's because they're hard to beat. Now, Andy, talk to me about the dials.
Hard to beat and hard to miss, aren't they? There are 2 new dials, Absolute Grey and Future Orange. And let me just say, if this orange dial is anything to go by, the future looks bright. But seriously, these 2 dials have been inspired by the current mood. The grey represents all that homeschooling so many people around the world have been dealing with, and I reckon those Zoom calls and all that working from home. Whilst the orange is all about a brighter beginning, the future and something that we can really get behind.
Fun fact, Andy, grey is one of the Pantone colours for 2021, so NOMOS is on trend.
You know it. And what I really love about these dials is those details. The blue luminous numerals on the grey dial are lined up with some orange for a really nice extra bit of pop. And the future orange has some subtle grey, greeny minute numerals on the outer track. It's really all about the details here.
Now, Andy, you've been wearing about the 38mm absolute grey dial around. How have you found it?
Pretty great, to be honest. The size is a real sweet spot for me. I've got smaller watches and I've got large watches, but I've never really worn a 38mm case for this long. I found it super versatile. The 20mm anthracite velour leather strap matches with pretty much anything. Although if you did want to go a little bit sportier, it is rated to 100 meters water resistance after all. There is bracelet options available. I love the little orange details, and I've got to say, I was really into the slender 8.5 millimeter profile. How did you go with yours, Felix?
Yeah, so mine did not fly under the radar at all. And that is what I absolutely loved about it. The 36 millimeter size is totally wearable, thanks in part to the longer lugs on the club. And it punches well above its size, thanks to that incredible orange dial. It really is a mood lifter. It will be a bold call as a daily wearer, but these days, why not? I would 100% do it.
Yeah, so would I. Felix, who's this for?
Well, a few people could really get behind this. Graduates and, people celebrating milestones, as we've discussed, but also anyone who wants to try NOMOS out. And I've got to say, someone's just looking for a top notch, cheerful watch absolutely cannot go wrong with a club campus.
Completely agree. So, to recap, there are 4 new models: Absolute Grey in both 36 and 38 millimeters, and Future Orange in 36 and 38 millimeters. Prices start from 1,870 Australian dollars for the 36 millimeter model and 2,060 Australian dollars for the 38 millimeter model.
Find out more at nomos-glashütte.com. That's nomos-glashütte.com. You can also buy it from that site, as well as online retailers like Mr. Porter. If you wanted to check it out in person, pop into your local Australian authorised dealer, such as the Hourglass or Monards.
Alrighty, time to get back to the show. Felix, on the topic of, picking watches, we thought it would be also a good idea to kind of look at the quarter that we've had so far, the last sort of 3, 4, I guess 5 months of 2021.
Two quarters.
Yeah, look at our favorite watches under 5 USD. So that's about 7,000 Aussie, give or take, at any given day. So we've both picked 5 favorite watches. Why don't you start this time and tell me through sort of 5 of your faves of the year?
Well, I think, and I think through no purpose, I think I've almost kept them all under 5,000 Aussie dollars as well. So pretty happy with that. Now, a few sort of caveats and honorable mentions for me. This is a tricky category, and it's a tricky year to do it because I haven't seen as many watches, and there's a few cracking ones that I have seen but are still under embargo. So obviously can't include them. But two honorable mentions. One is the Tank Cartier Must Solar Beat that I was
Yep.
very, very close to including, but I didn't. No particularly good reason for not including it. I just ended up not including it. The other one I really wanted to include, but unfortunately it cost 9,000 Australian dollars and I didn't think I could squeeze that in, was the Hermes H08. So
Oh, yeah.
that'll come back in a list later down the year, I'm sure. So let me start off with a bit of a weird one that I think sums up the watch industry in 2021, or the watch scene in 2021.
Go for it.
It's Hajime Isoka's Kurano Tokyo brand. I believe it's called the Toki watch, which got a little bit of buzz a while ago because it was sold for a period of 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a watch that Cole Pennington has written about on Hodinky. Its retail value is 1,738 United States dollars. The previous iteration of it is selling for something stupid like 7,000. It's
Wow.
well, I mean, it's not stupid, but it is stupid. It's a really, really beautiful watch. The design language is refined. It's 38 or 37 millimeters, and this latest one has a really, really beautiful salmon dial.
Love that.
I just think for me, it's one of the leaders of the pack of that sort of new generation of smaller micro brands, and it's really capturing that community spirit and also the issues that are, the very prevalent in the watch scene at the moment of flipping and premiums and all that sort of stuff, all in one really nice watch package. So there we go. That's why the Kurano Tokyo made the list.
It's a great call. I wish I thought of it.
You're welcome. The next one is also a Japanese watch.
Okay.
A little bit more available from Seiko. This is the Seiko Prospex Alpinist Recreation. This is a watch. I knew I had to have a Seiko in the list simply because of the price point, simply because of the quality that Seiko make at certainly the sub 5 and often the
Just
sub
any
1,
level.
the sub 2. Yeah. The other one I was tempted by was a watch called the Sharp Edge GMT. So Sharp Edge is a sort of very contemporary looking, sort of straight up and down tool watch, and the GMT, it's really, really nice. And it's the first time in a long time that Seiko have had a automatic GMT in any sort of regular production. That will be a hit. But the Alpinist, I thought, was more interesting to me for a few reasons. One, when I initially saw it, the press release, I didn't like it. It's a bit weird. It's sort of it's inspired by a watch from the 1960s, I believe. That's, a very 1960s sort of sports watch that looked like a dress watch, with a bit of a, protein diet. But I quite like it because it does something different. For the prospects, you always think of those divers. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
this is it's dressy, but it's not a dress watch. It's definitely sporty. It's like 200 meters water resistance, sapphire crystal, 38 millimeter case, movement with 70 hours power reserve. I think it's the perfect contender for a well priced, you want a good watch that can do everything and not look out of place with a suit. This is it. It's also got really rich dial texture and some interesting hand design. They've got really sort of strong dagger hands, and like the hour markers are quite interesting. Comes in ivory, green, or grey. Can't go wrong with any of them. And the price, Andy, for all this, 1,150 Aussie dollars on a bracelet, which is,
Oh, we.
yeah, it's nuts. So no doubt that had to be on my list. I'm really, really into it. And there's a lot of Seikos that could have made it, but Alpinist made the cut. Next up, again, not a surprise for anyone that knows me. Certainly, I'm expecting you're not surprised. A NOMOS. Second NOMOS in the episode.
You think this one's us?
But honestly, this is beside the point. Like when you say under 5K best watches, Nomos immediately makes that shortlist. This one, however, is not under 5K Aussie. It's a little bit over. And again, I was tempted by the clubs, but this one, it's a little more versatile in some ways, and it's a little more cool on the tech side. I'm talking about the Nomos Metro Neomatic 41 update. 6,230 Australian dollars. I like this because it has a new complication. So the update, for NOMOS is pretty cool. And it's also got a really nice blend of dressy design with sort of casual aesthetic with the grey dial and that grey textile strap. It's just, the more I look at it, the more I like it.
It's a great watch. I love the date display as well. I like the and it's illumined and it's a different color and it's just subtle.
Yeah, it's just a really, I think this is a watch that someone, again, and I'm thinking for someone that's got to be interested in, a watch under 5K, it's either got to be an addition to a collection and they've got a lot going on, they want something different, or it's one good watch. And I think the NOMOS is a really, really great contender for that one good watch.
Yeah, you're not going to be mad about it.
Second last, but not least, Andy, the penultimate. I know this is not a surprise to you because I talk about it every day. The Tudor Black Bay 58925.
This might be your favorite watch of the year.
Yeah. Certainly it's going to make the list when, in December we decide to roll out that old chestnut. I really like it. I really like the choice of taupe. I think that's smart and brave at the same time. Like it's not a common color, and it's, in reality, it sort of looks somewhere between gray and mushroom depending on the light. The silver is something I genuinely didn't see coming, and I'm really fascinated to see how it plays in the market. We're going to see everyone releasing silver watches in a few years, and I think the value of it is, with Tudor, it's exceptional. 500,880 Australian dollars. I would get it on the fabric strap, though the leather also looks great. And
get both of the change.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, that's a good call. And I think this is if I had to give these watches subheadings, this is the one that genuinely surprised me. But it's also not the only watch that I like this year with an unconventional design and case material. That honor goes to a trio of watches that collectively go by the name of Oris Diver 65 Cotton Candy.
Oh, yes.
It's, I mean, this is the watch we needed this year. It's bronze, like it's all bronze. It's got a bronze bracelet. I'm still not sure about the bracelet situation. I don't want a green wrist. It's also not powered by their brand spanking new Cal 400. It's just a regular ETR Solida, which is fine. It's 38 millimeter case, which is spot on for everyone. But it's the dials. It's pink. It's minty green, or it's that pale blue. It's just a watch that you can't look at and not smile at. And I think it's a really surprising release for them that maybe even they were surprised by how well it was received. I just think it's great. I think it's a really joyful watch. And that's why it's the last in my list of 5 watches.
I kind of wish that they would put that dial in like a brushed stainless steel version.
I mean, honestly, they're not that expensive. You could do it.
Cheeky dial swap.
I'm sure you ask your friendly watchmaker to do it, and that can be made to happen. But I think the bronze is nice, and I've seen some pictures recently of them getting a bit of age, and when the bronze looks a little bit darker, the dial color just stands out even more.
They really are very, very fun dials. I'm a fan. I'm a big fan.
What
Good
about
choices.
you, Andy? I've been talking my
you just
ear off for the last 10 minutes. What are you?
10-minute freestyle from Felix.
What are you liking?
All right, are you ready for the first one? Buckle up.
I'm there.
Seiko as well made the list. The Prospect 1965 Diver's modern reinterpretation.
Classic.
Otherwise known as the SPB 237.
Hey, I'm looking at a picture. This is a winner, Andy.
You have seen this watch IRL, right?
Yes, I have.
Does it deserve to be on my list?
For several reasons. The watch itself is great, but the strap, wow, Seiko, you knocked that out of the park.
It's not often you see watch brands like really highlighting their straps in this way.
Well, I think it's a big deal for them. Like, well, Seiko straps have typically been sort of like
an afterthought.
Yeah, they focus all the value on the watch head, but
so this is they're actually, and they're worth flagging because it's a traditional technique of braiding from Japan called, I think, Seichu,
sure,
which gives it a texture and volume to it, and also a softness. So combined with sort of that vintage nod to the sort of 1970s diver, classic looks from Seiko there, it's just like a really nice pairing, and it's just like earthy tones through the roof.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful watch, and I think you did really, really well picking it.
I kind of want to buy it for myself. I don't own a Seiko, so this could be my first Seiko. We might need to make some calls.
Do it.
everyone's just saying do it. So, and I think they're about 1,300 Aussie dollars, or US dollars. Sorry, so it's not.
No, Aussie. I reckon maybe 15.
Yeah, I think it's about 15.
Yeah, okay.
So it's just a really cool watch. I've gone, it was released in tandem with another model, which is the SPB 237. So I like the 239, but equally the 237, which is slightly bigger, is also pretty cool.
That's the sort of the Willardy looking one, I think.
Yeah. So, the thinkies are out mid-year, so the coming weeks, but
yeah, stay tuned.
I think that is just a really, as always, there's going to be a few Seikos on the list. I think it's a really cool option that deserves. It's definitely, one of the top releases of this year. The next one I have, Felix.
Interesting choice, Andy Gray.
Tag Hoya Carrera Green Special Edition. I just love this green dial. They've been doing a few green dials this year. This one was done in celebration of the, I think, the Grand Prix de Monaco Historique. So 39mm diameter case, as we've come to expect on the Carrera, with just this like lovely green kind of sunbursty dial. They call it teal. I don't know. I haven't seen one in person, but it is just stunning. 100-meter water resistance on that alligator strap that sort of works really nicely with the teal dial. Powered by the Hoya 02, obviously. The only kind of hurdle here is that pricing at $650 USD, limited to 500 pieces. I think it scrapes in under 7 Aussie, so it's definitely. I know it doesn't, but it's a little bit over, but I think it's worth a mention.
It wouldn't be an Andy, 5 under 5/7 list if we didn't
5 to 10.
What is money?
What is money? It's just watches.
That's great. That's a beautiful, and I think that's classic Tag Hoya. When you told me you put a Tag Hoya on this, I would have thought you would have gone an Aqua Racer, but just goes to show I don't know you at all.
Not a bad choice. The next one is it's a watch that I think is pretty cool, and I don't know that it was necessarily released at the right time because it's sort of overlooked a little bit, and I think now that dust has settled and I look back at it, I go, that is actually quite a cool watch. It is the Breitling Top Time Deus limited edition. So of 1,500 pieces, done with Aussie label Deus Ex Machina.
Yep.
Which is, sort of a motorcycle surfy brand.
Yep.
Nods back to the sort of 1960s original Top Time, but has some sort of really nice oranges and reds on the dial. The seconds hand is, lightning bolt style. It's got that sort of car odometer display vibe going on with the subdials. And it's just a cool watch. I mean, I like the top time as is, but I think this collab is pretty cool.
It's just a cool dial design. Like,
Mm.
even if you don't care about Deus and you take that out of the picture, it's just classic sort of 60s, 70s sort of surf sports vibes.
Yeah. I think it's really, really well done. Creamy dial, like just the whole color palette on this thing is killer.
Yeah.
I just think it might have been honestly launched at the wrong time of the year.
Yeah, that's fair. It's been a tricky year for watches in a lot of ways. That sort of traditional calendar's been moved around, and maybe people aren't paying
Hard to
attention.
get cut through. Just hard to get cut through. So, next one, in common with you, a Tudor.
You didn't steal my 9 to 5, did you?
I left that off just so you could have it. The Black Bay Chrono, the new boy.
Yeah, your third chrono. You've gone for 3 chronos.
Yeah, well, maybe it's the year of the Chrono.
Talk to me about this watch, Andy.
What do you want to know?
Why has it made the list?
Everything. Okay, so Black Bay Chrono first came out, I don't know, 2018.
Sure.
Bit too chunky.
Yeah.
Bit too polarizing.
Weird bezel.
That shared movement in it, weird bezel. Just didn't feel like it was there. Similar to the original Black Bay. Black Bay Chrono comes out in 2021. Refined. The updates are there. The color scheme's there. That panda look. So I'm choosing the panda for this.
Yep.
The price point is there. So it's still got the MT 5813, which is the movement that it did with Breitling. 41mm case, but like the price, Felix, $7,070.
Australian dollars at that.
Australian dollars, Chrono, like
I think flat out this might be the best value buy of the year.
Tudor have really hit it out the park in terms of good value and good design.
Yep.
And I think this is just an interesting, great watch available on a bunch of different straps. If you did want to save a bit of money, get it on the Bund, which is sort of a convertible strap.
Yeah.
Goes from sort of Bund to leather. Or, the fabric, or you get in the black dial with the same options. But yeah, 5-year guarantee, 200-meter water resistance, like 70-hour power reserve, really hard watch to beat.
There is no one that this is not a good watch for.
No.
Like, it can do, I mean, yeah, I'm struggling to think of, like, even if you've got, $300,000 vintage subs and Daytonas, you will still find things to like in this watch. Or if you've never, worn a Swiss watch before, this will spoil you for every other one.
And honestly, I'm excited to see where this goes. Like, where 2-3 years time, what happens with this model? What happens when the movement's been advertised and they're ready to put something in completely in-house in that brings the case down to?
Yeah, I still don't think they'll do that, but yeah,
maybe. Let's just see. Maybe we'll bet one.
Okay, it's also I think have they slightly refined? They've refined the dial design and the profile. Like, is it a bit slimmer?
Yeah, it's a slimmer watch.
Yeah, it's great. It's
as slim as it can be with that movement. So
nice.
They did work with Breitling after all on it, so it's going to be a little bit chunky.
And so is your last watch a chronograph as well?
No, my last watch is Felix. It's the Tank Must watch from Cartier. Comes in one size, 3 colors: large, red, blue, green. Quartz movement, don't care.
Quartz is where it's at, man. 2021 is a year of quartz.
We saw these together the other week, and they are just. I don't know what the price is. I heard they're going to be made for a year. I think they're going to be really hard to get. I really like them. I can't choose a color. Do we get all 3? I don't know how to handle it, but they're certainly under 5,000 Aussie. Definitely under 5,000 US.
Do you know
just what fun watches?
Do you know who has got one?
Who?
Lydia Winters.
Already?
Picked up the green one.
Already? Mm-hmm. I didn't even think they were out yet. How did I miss that?
When you're Lydia Winters, things just happen.
Huh. Congrats, Lydia Winters. Is that new?
Yeah, pretty sure like the last couple of days. So if you want to see some great photos of it, head to
Enjoy the Watches.
Thank you.
I think that's her handle. We should get her on.
We should.
We probably had her on at this point.
We should get her on again if we haven't already. It looks really great. And
oh wow, I missed that.
Looking at them now.
Yeah,
that's great. I think this is a no-brainer. And like how I sort of wanted to include the solar beat, I just think Cartier is really focused on that sort of the tank and B, the entry level of the market. I think it's a really smart move from them and has resulted in some wonderful watches.
Yeah, fantastic. So those are my 5. What do you think?
I think you've done very, very well.
I
would be happy. Let me have a think. I would. What's the first one? Yep, I've essentially owned that watch. Yeah, I would. 4 out of the 5 I would wear every Actually, 5 out of the 5, but I would spend money on 4 out of the 5.
Which is the one you wouldn't?
I'm not going to tell you that, Andy.
Mystery. For yours? Yep. Yes, I would wear. Yes, I would wear. I don't know about the Oris. I don't know if I'd wear it in the full bronze. I want to see the bracelet.
I'd take it off the bracelet.
I want to see it. We should see it on the bracelet.
I think on Worn and Wound, I was having a look at some really nice live photos of all 3 of them. They're great.
So did Cat and Catlin from 10 and 2.
Nice.
All right, Felix.
I think we've got to go.
Yeah.
What do we need to do before we go, Andy?
Thank today's episode sponsor.
Nice. Thank you very much, sponsor. We
Uh,
love your work.
If you like OT, make sure you leave us a 5-star review. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, ot.podcast. If you want to hit us in the DM with a Watch Matchmaker, do it over email, otthepodcast@gmail.com.
And we will get to it 6 months later.
Yep,
Maybe.
if at all.
Sure.
But yeah, thank you. And thank you for subscribing and leaving reviews and supporting us.
Awesome. Have a lovely morning, afternoon, evening.
Catch you guys.